Hey there folks, welcome you all to yet another cheap little vlog of mine. I am coming at you on a Flagons Up Saturday, people, instead of a Friday. It is a bank holiday weekend here in the UK. Flagons Up to you all. Go have a sip of this. Just behind the camera here, I've got the Arsenal-Fulham game about to kick off. I'm not going to show you the screen because I think Sky, they have some bot or other on YouTube that looks for any footage whatsoever, even if it's a second of Premier League football footage. It will just copyright the video and blanket people. We haven't spoken for a couple of weeks. I thought I'd say hi and come and see you. A little bit of a channel update, and we're going to sit in the... I'm coming at you on a cheap vlog again, as I say. You know, they are becoming a little bit regular, but the sun is beaming, people, and we're about to enter the burrs. The months of burrs, people. September, November, you know what I'm saying. So we need to enjoy the sun as much as we can. The only downside is I've actually had to shut the back door here because the kids are all playing outside, which is great. I love seeing the kids out playing and having a good time. But I don't know how much of the noise will be picked up. But it is sweltering in here. Climb, that was a bit of a close-up, wasn't it? I think I'm going to have to open the door. We'll see how we get on, people. You might hear parents shouting for their children and all sorts, but we'll see how we go. We do have a few things that we want to talk about, but mainly it's a little bit of an ad hoc one, this, because we're back in this room again. I can rest my arm, people, rest my arm on the sofa here. We do have a few things to talk about. I've been building up a few podcasty topics to talk about, and like I do, I've got the iPad here with a few things to talk about on it, but mainly I just wanted to pop in and say hi. And they're a bit random topics, really. A few things that I picked up from Gamescom, I think. There hasn't been a huge amount on Gamescom. Excuse me, that was very professional. Fizzy beer, people. But mainly I just wanted to pop in and say hi to you all, people, because it's been a few weeks since we had a little chill lag, hasn't it? So, what's going on? Well, the channel, we've got... you had, I think, another 3 Kingdoms of Amalurs this week, Re-Reckoning on the Xbox Series X, and you had a whole lump of them the week before as well. That's the last lump of recording that I've done, so I'm going to have to do some more recording for you guys. Might get some done this weekend, with it being a bank holiday weekend. I'm off on Monday. I probably won't do any recording tomorrow, but Monday might be the day where I sit down and do a bit more Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. And channel-wise, I mean, all of that stuff was recorded a week ago, so that was me just pacing out all of the... Because I think I had a week, it was the week where it was super hot, and I decided that I wasn't going to do any gym or any running and stuff, because it was just so hot for about 4 or 5 days. It was like 30 degrees or something. And I thought, right, I'll just leave it till it cools down again. And I used that time to do some recording, I think, for you guys, which is why I managed to get so much done and why it's lasted this long without me doing any more. So... there will be more Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning coming in the run-up to my confession, people. I have caved in and I have purchased The Last of Us Remake, people, or The Last of Us Part 1 as they're now calling it. It is out on the 2nd of September, which is next Friday. I'm hoping I've ordered... Now, here's the thing, right? I probably would have caved in anyway if it had been £70. And make no mistake, people, if it was any other game, I wouldn't have caved in. But because it's like one of my... this could be my favourite game of all time, but it's certainly in my top 3. And, you know, the only ones that probably compete with it are Dead Space, Final Fantasy X, and that. Probably the 3 games that are my games that I would say were in my top 3. And I've often said that The Last of Us is my favourite game of all time. But sometimes I kind of change my mind because it depends. It's a little bit like, it's strange, isn't it? Because it depends what makes that game your favourite game of all time. Is it the game itself, or is it the memories that came with the game? Like Final Fantasy X was such a monumental game for its time. And I've just got huge amounts of memories playing that with Aaron Brew, my son, when he must have been about maybe 8 or so, something like that. And we just played the hell out of that game when we had weekends together and stuff. And we just played the hell out of that game. And it's just so many fun memories of spending time with him playing that game. So as well as it being an amazing game, certainly for its time, it's got all those memories attached around it as well. I could say the same for Zelda Ocarina of Time, but I think that game probably doesn't hold up quite as well as Final Fantasy X does. I'm probably going to get shouted at for that, but I think probably it doesn't, because Final Fantasy X was PS Yeah, it was PS2, wasn't it? So we kind of leapt on a little bit. But yeah, I think Ocarina of Time but probably doesn't hold up quite as strongly as a game as Final Fantasy X does. But if they remade it, they could they certainly could make it hold up a whole lot better. I mean, I think in general, I think Ocarina, I think Zelda games were. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ocarina of Time was groundbreaking for its time. I mean, right, getting the horse riding around the land and all that sort of stuff was amazing. I'm probably being a bit harsh actually, to be fair, but it was an N64 game, and so Final Fantasy X had taken us a long way. Anyway, if it hadn't, I digress. If it hadn't been my favourite game of all time / one of my top three, I wouldn't have forked out that kind of money for this game. 60 quid. I got it for £59.95 from Shop 2, and the price is the same physically. If you buy a physical copy, you can get it for that price from a number of pages. I looked at Game Collection and I looked at Simply Games. I think they all had it for £59.95 or thereabouts. But Shop 2 sometimes are quite good at the game sort of dropping a little bit, because they need to judge the mailman. So they tend to make sure that it gets there on time, and sometimes that means you get it a day early. So I might be lucky and get it on the Thursday at some point rather than the Friday. So that's sometimes why I tend to pick Shop 2. So I'm really looking forward to playing it again. I think after the traumatic experience that was The Last of Us Part 2, which I think is an amazing game, but it's just a traumatic thing to play. It's not a uplifting thing to play. It's like you just feel depressed playing it because the story is so fucking dark. It's like you didn't get that with The Last of Us. The Last of Us, yes, it was in a dark place, but I've talked about this in other vlogs anyway, the podcasts, but it was in a dark world. It was a dark story, but it was uplifting because of the story it was telling about the love that grew between these two characters and the friendship. And so, I really want to go back to the roots of it and just kind of enjoy that experience again and bring my love back for The Last of Us. I still feel to some extent that The Last of Us Part 2 went far too dark. I don't think it needed to go there. I don't mind the big moment that they had, if I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I don't mind the big moment that happens in the game. That was not what frustrated me about it. I just didn't like where they went with Ellie. I just didn't feel like that was the person that she would have been under any circumstances. To become an outright assassin type killer, I just don't think that was her at all as a being. So I think they kind of ruined her character by doing that. In fact, the most enjoyable areas of that game are when you play as Abby. She gets the best infected areas. The areas she gets to play are just superb. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed those sections. The problem is I'd have to play about 6 hours of darkness before I get to those sections to play them again. Unless they've added a chapter select. I've not looked, but I don't think they have. So so I have caved in. I have purchased it. I don't think it's something that people are going to want to see me play an entire playthrough of on the channel, but I think I might certainly throw up a couple of parts just to let people see just how good it looks and how well it plays, and just to get my general opinions on playing it in comparison to the first one and its remaster. But this is a completely remade version in the engine that was used to make the Part 2. So I'm expecting it to look incredible. They've redone absolutely everything, and the AI's changed, and all sorts of things have changed in the game. So I am looking forward to it. It is the same experience. They've not, you're not getting extra content or anything like that. That's where the grumbles have come in, and people have been like, oh, well, that's not worth 70 quid and all that. And I agree. I don't think it's worth that amount of money, but it's simply because it's one of my favourite games of all time. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. I'm still not overly sure I'm going to get God of War on day one, because God of War Ragnarok, because much as though I loved God of War and it was a good time, I'm not buzzing for that game at all. It's not something I'm chomping on the bit for. So I think I'll just save my money, and I'm not even... Have we got a release date for that? I think we must. It's definitely coming this year, I think. But I'm going to save my money and just get Callisto Protocol, because that's the one I'm buzzing for. So that's anywhere you can... I think you can get that for £45 Callisto Protocol, proper AAA title, and it's 45 quid, sorry. Physically, I don't know what it is digitally, it's probably 50 or 55. But, there's no need for a game to be 70 quid. Not even. I mean, in my opinion, we had the poll a few weeks back and people said that they were more than happy that a game would end up being about £60, but certainly not 70. You know, it's there's no excuse for it, especially if you can turn around an entire remake of a game in a couple of years, which seems to be what they've done with the Last of Us, then I don't. Well, for me, I don't understand how a AAA studio that isn't a first party studio can do it for £40 to £50, but because it's a home studio owned by Sony, it's got to be £70. Because if those studios were independent, they wouldn't be charging you £70. So I don't understand why it's got to be £70. And interestingly, there's one of the topics that we could talk about. I'm probably not going to read through all of the topics. We'll see how far we get. We're 10 minutes in now. So anyway, yeah, so I have caved in. I have bought it. After telling you that, well, to be fair, I didn't tell people not to buy it. I just said if it really gets to you that, it's the amount of money they're asking for, simply don't buy it. The problem is the more people that do buy it, the more they're going to do it. So I am now becoming part of the problem because I haven't waited. So I apologise. But there you are, people. You've got to do what makes you happy in the end. Just do what makes you happy. As long as, I say that as if just do what makes you happy, even if it hurts other people. You shouldn't do that. But you know what I mean. Anyway, I caved in. Let me know in the comments below if you've caved in, if you're going to get it, or if you do really want it, but it's just not willing to pay that sort of price, and you'll wait until the price comes down. Here's the thing. My personal opinion is if Sony aren't going to release these things as part of their Game Pass, whatever they're calling it. I think they're still calling it PlayStation Plus with different levels, aren't they? If they're not going to release it with the mid-tier PlayStation Plus, they said they're not going to, like Microsoft with Xbox Game Pass, they're going to have all of their games, first-party studios are going to be on Game Pass day one. You don't have to buy them. If you're paying your $10.99 a month, you're going to get it. So Sony said they're not going to do it, of which you can argue why not, and they don't need to is probably the answer. But I still think that they should have a massive knockdown on price for people that are paying for it. I suppose the problem there is that you'll get people to... You'd have to balance it out. But if you gave people enough of a discount on... Let's say new games were half price if you were a member for... I don't know, if you don't want people to just do it for 1 month in order to get the discount, then maybe they could do something like, if you've been a member for 3 months or longer, you can have 50% off the price of the game or something like that. But do something for your people that are forking out fucking shed loads of money every month in order to have your pass. I feel like there's no point to these passes if you're not going to get anything of the new stuff on them. So I think they should have a think about that. And I think as time goes on and as Xbox's catalogue gets stronger, which is going to do from next year, it's going to get very strong very quickly with all the studios they've bought up. I think it's going to be interesting to see just how Sony might get forced into doing something about members that have paid for their PlayStation Plus. Also, I think, as one of the topics we'll talk about in a minute, I think they'll also have to have a think about their general pricing if things work out as they might in courts and stuff. Anyway, should we talk about a few topics that I picked up on people? Let's have a look. I might have to put my old man glasses on for these people so that I can see what I'm doing. Once again, I'm looking at links and such like. So I might read through the links. Shall I go down here a little bit? It might be a bit more comfy if I rest it on this pillow right here. That seems to be decent, doesn't it? Oh, you can see my t-shirt if I do that as well. Well, I'll have a sip of my beer as well before we do that, people. Hey, God, it's like Cloverfield all over again, isn't it? Eh? Whoa! In fact, I might just balance the beer here, people. Just there. So they don't have to reach for it, right? Okay, here we go. So, what have we got? First up on the links, I'm probably not going to do all of these. We'll see how we go for time. We're on 15 minutes thereabouts at the minute. PlayStation sued for £5 billion in the UK over rip-off games. Let's have a look at that one, shall we? This is from the BBC News. Sony PlayStation is being sued for £5 billion in the UK over allegations it ripped off its customers with overpriced games and in-game purchases. The group legal action, led by consumer rights champion Alex Neil, could see almost 9 million gamers compensated. It claims Sony PlayStation breached competition law, imposing unfair terms and conditions on games developers and publishers, and driving up prices. The game is up, said Miss Neal. It's Miss Neal. So the name Alex was a bit ambiguous to me there. Miss Neal, Sony PlayStation has yet to comment. The claim filed at the Competition Appeal Tribunal alleges the gaming company abused its position as the market leader to impose terms and conditions on games developers and publishers, including a 30% commission on every digital game or in-game purchase made through their online PlayStation store. The legal case claims Sony PlayStation's actions have driven up prices for consumers, resulting in customers being unwittingly overcharged for digital game purchases by up to a total of £5 billion over the past 6 years. The estimated damages per individual in the claim is said to be between £67 and £560. It applies to any customers who has purchased digital games or add-on content on their console or through the PlayStation Store since August 2016. Strong case. We believe we've got a really strong case, or else we wouldn't be doing this, Miss McNeil told BBC News. It is a big undertaking to take on a company like Sony. With this legal action, I am standing up for the millions and millions of UK people who have unwittingly been overcharged. We believe Sony has abused its position and ripped off its customers. The actions of Sony are costing millions of people who can't afford it, particularly when we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis and the consumer purse is being squeezed like never before. It's not the first time that concerns have been raised over commission on digital platforms and accessing content. Similar actions have been brought in other countries against Apple and Google. Once you are in those Apple or Android operating systems, you're left with no choice but to pay. Just make sure my camera's on it. You're left with no choice but to pay the high costs for content because there is no alternative. We say it's pretty much the same for Sony PlayStation customers, Miss McNeil told BBC News. PlayStation users will automatically have a claim if they owned a console since 19th of August 2016, live in the UK, purchased digital PlayStation games, made in-game purchases via the PlayStation Store. But Miss McNeil warned that the cases of this nature can take several years to resolve and that people who might be eligible for compensation could be left waiting if Sony PlayStation refuses to settle the claim. We could expect, given the number of consumers affected and the amount we believe they have overcharged by, that Sony would want to bring this forward and settle, but we have no idea what they are planning to do, she said. She told the BBC. Sony PlayStation did not immediately respond to the BBC request for comment. So, I mean, even if they settle, that's pretty much an admission of, yeah, we have been. So I don't think, for me, because if they do that, then they have to come and sort it all out. They have to change what they're doing, surely. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with it. But very interesting nonetheless to see just what happens with that. And I fancy that, I mean, as she says, it's not a cheap thing to take these sort of people to court. If you win, I'm not overly sure you have to pay the legal fees anyway. So, but if you lose, it's a massive undertaking to take on companies that are that big. And she's doing it on behalf of consumers. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Nonetheless, people are starting to say, no, Sony, stop being naughty. The days of PlayStation 4 and them being awesome to their fans has well and truly passed. I mean, everything Sony seems to do at the minute seems to be nothing but about them raking in as much coin as they can. And I understand that they're a business, but you cannot treat your fan base like cash machines. Like you have to give something back if you want to keep those people. And it doesn't matter how many great games you make. If you piss enough people off, they will go to the other side, especially when the other side are being very consumer friendly. Microsoft are doing everything right when it comes to communicating with their community. What else have we got? What to expect from Gamescom? Well, that's well and truly past. It's on now, isn't it? Yes, Knights of the Old Republic remake at least 2 years away, people. And changing dev from Aspire Media to Saber Interactive. Well, we knew, the last news we got about this was that it was just halted completely because they had some sort of show off of the game and it went so badly that they fired people and they decided they weren't going to make it anymore and they're going to move studio maybe. So this is at least seems to be confirmation that there is still going to be a game, but it's going to go to another studio. Chances are they're going to make it from scratch anyway, by the sounds of what we've heard over the last couple of articles. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But if that it's in that state, I can't see 2 years. I mean, 2 years? At least 2 years it says, but I would say that game's not coming out for 5 years if that's the state that it's in. I mean, you're starting from scratch with nothing. It's a brand new game, effectively. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. But I don't think we'll be seeing anything from that for at least 4 or 5 years, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Hogwarts Legacy is now available to pre-order. It was available to pre-order on August the 25th, people. It is the 25th, isn't it? Yeah, it's 27th. So you can now pre-order Hogwarts Legacy. To be honest with you, I mean, I have just done it, to be fair, but it was only a week beforehand that I pre-ordered The Last of Us. It's only because I want it, you know. But with pre-orders, it's like, they could put them live just a couple of weeks beforehand as far as I'm concerned, because I just want to order it with enough time to make sure I get it on the first day. It's not like they're going to run out of copies these days, you know, like it was back in the day. You had to pre-order it because you wanted to make sure you weren't going to not get a copy on day one. So anyway, I've pre-ordered mine, and I'll keep my own money in my own bank account as long as I can, rather than someone else's bank account for 3 months while I'm waiting for a game to come out. I mean, you can pre-order games years in advance at this point. Hey, oh, there's a bit of news that isn't on this list actually. At Gamescom, they finally got to play Dead Island 2. Can you believe it? They got hands-on with Dead Island 2. It is an actual game. It's actually playable. This game was announced at the launch of Xbox One. The launch of Xbox One. That's how long that game's taken to come around. And much as though the preview that they gave it of getting hands-on was quite positive, it kind of was also a bit negative because it's like, well, we've already got like a ton of this now because we've got the sort of step sibling of it, which is Dying Light 1 and 2 now. And there's not, you know, it does, I mean, it's being made by a different studio as well, because I think actually some of the people that made the original Dead Island, I think went on to make Dying Light, so that's why they're sort of connected. But yeah, I mean, I loved I loved Dead Island, although I've still yet to finish that game. But I did love playing it. I've gone back. I've got the remastered version. And I got super into it, and I got to sort of the very last section. I need to finish the game. I'll go back. It's an easy one to jump back into though, so I will do it. And then there was the Dead Island Riptide, was it called? And which was, I'm not sure that was a full game. Someone could tell me if it was or it wasn't. I feel like it was a big DLC rather than a separate game. But anyway, there was Riptide for it. There was but in effect, there's probably not enough. There's nothing new in it per se, but it does look really good. If you're into that kind of game, you're going to love it. But you're not really going to get anything super new out of it. It is that experience again, sort of thing. But it does look really good. So it is being faithful to the original, even though another studio is making it, and it is advancing itself in its crafting systems and all that sort of stuff. It's just that it's not going to be anything that you've not really seen before for that sort of game. But I guess, you know, what more can you do with those sort of games? They are what they are. But it did look, the footage does look good though. Maybe we'll talk about it again. I'll put some of the footage up for you. Because recording like this, I'm not going to be schmelting stuff together and, you know, doing that sort of video. It's just me chatting to you. It's just me, my beautiful face, people. Hello. What else we got? Yeah, Phil Spencer has been talking about there being less exclusives in the future. I'm not overly sure where he was going with that one, but I think what he was getting at was, there is an article there. I'm not sure we're going to read right through it, but he was basically saying that they're not, from his perspective, making things exclusive is kind of hurting a game more than it's helping it. So from their perspective, especially when they're buying up these massive studios like your Bethesdas and your Activisions and Blizzards and all that sort of stuff, that they don't really want to be limiting those games to their own console, because it's hurting them money-wise more than it's helping them. You know, they'll still make loads of money, but why do that when you can sell that product on a gazillion PlayStations? However, well, the thing is, if you put it on Game Pass and then let the people at the Sony side buy it, then I mean, your quid's in, aren't you? Because you've got a whole other audience that you wouldn't have had before. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I get what you're saying. He's not saying that the studios aren't going to make games anymore. It's just that as time goes on, it may well be that they don't just end up on the Xbox and the PC. They might end up in other places as well. A Warner Brother Games chief says Division has critically important role to play amid internal shake-ups. Division? What? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I just remembered what this article is. It's an IGN article, people. Let's go into the article. I understand what this is about now. Because there's been a whole load of stuff about Warner Brothers, hasn't there? Because they schmelted together with Discovery, was it? Let's read the article from IGN here. It's been a rough time for Warner Brothers Discovery, which has dealt with delays and cancellations amid the fallout from its merger. But at least one division appears to be doing well. In a new interview with Axios Gaming, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment chief David Haddad touted the division's recent successes, such as Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga and Multiverses. Both games have managed to sell tens of millions of units while garnering solid reviews. According to Haddad, the division, this is the gaming division, is profitable and does not look likely to suffer the sort of layoffs and cancellations that impacted other parts of Warner Brothers Discovery. Quote, I do believe, especially moving forward, that we have a critically important role to play inside the company, Haddad said. According to Haddad, Warner Brothers Discovery has expressed a strong belief in the growth of the games business and being part of the overall company strategy. Warner Brother, where did I get to there? This would seem to temporarily put to rest rumours that studios within WB Games, which includes the likes of NetherRealm and Rocksteady, were for sale following Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Xbox and PlayStation were rumoured to be among the groups interested in such acquisitions. Previous owner AT&T reportedly attempted to sell Warner Brother Games for $4 billion in 2020. Warner Brother Games has been a relative bright spot in what has otherwise been a difficult year for Warner Brothers Discovery. In early August, Warner Brothers Discovery stunned Hollywood by unexpectedly cancelling Batgirl, yanking dozens of shows off HBO Max, and effectively killing the Arrowverse. The backlash has been intense as creators and fans alike have spoken out against what they perceive to heavy-handed decisions by CEO David Zaslav, who has been outspoken in his desire to build Warner Brothers' own version of MCU. Warner Brother Games, meanwhile, continues to move ahead with multiple high-profile projects, including Hogwarts Legacy, Wonder Woman, and Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, Gotham Knights, which we've been covering almost all of them. In Warner Brothers' next game, it's due out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on October 21st. I'm so glad they stopped doing a version of that game for last gen and just focused on new gen. I'm hoping that's going to be really good. The old Gotham Knights. Yeah, so it's just good news to hear that the Warner Brothers game side of Warner Brothers Discovery looks like it's on solid ground and not going to be affected by all of this chaos that's happening with the merger. Microsoft has confirmed no price increases for Xbox Series X and S. This comes after PlayStation have said they're going to be upping the price of the PlayStation 5 in certain parts of the world. Take a little look at the article. We're about half an hour here, people. Blimey, eh? Oh, that's still nice and cold, that beer, people. Following the news that Sony will increase the price of PlayStation 5 in several markets, Microsoft has confirmed that it is not planning similar moves to adjust the price of Xbox Series X and S. In a statement to Windows Central, Microsoft confirmed that there are no plans to raise the price of the Xbox Series X or Series S, and that the console will remain at their current price in the US, UK and Europe. Microsoft says the Series S suggested retail price will remain at $299 and Series X will remain at $499. The statement follows the news from earlier that Sony will be adjusting the price of the PlayStation 5 in Europe, the UK, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, Latin America and Canada. So basically fucking everywhere. Why don't they just say everywhere? What's that about? Citing the global inflation rate and adverse currency trends, So not only are they fucking ripping people off for the games anyway, digitally, they now want to fucking get more money off you for the bloody PlayStation 5. PlayStation 4 was bloody losing money most of the time when they were selling that. For example, in the UK, the PS5 with a disc drive will now cost £479.99, up from £449.99, so it's up 30 quid. And the digital edition costs £389.99, up from £359.99. You know what I meant, £359.99. Sony isn't the only hardware manufacturer to increase the price of its systems as a result of global economy. Meta announced earlier that it will increase the price of the popular Meta Quest 2 VR headset by $100. Fucking hellfire. Experts say that the global supply chain is still under stress, leading to these price increases. Though Ampere analysis, though Ampere analysis, Pierce Harding, Rolls suggested Sony might not be impacted by the price bump due to continued demand. Supply chain has been under stress since nearly the start of the COVID-19 pandemic and has been exacerbated by the global economy as well as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Right. And finally, I found this article on DualSense. These are all coming from IGN, these articles, by the way, now. There's a new DualSense controller, which is called the DualSense Edge, which kind of sprung up on me a little bit, or at least I don't remember talking about this before, to try and, give the PlayStation players a version of the Xbox Elite Series, Elite Series 2 as it is now. And it's just a how do they compare. I'll just read a little bit of it, I suppose. Again, from IGN. PlayStation has finally entered the realm of high-end pro controllers with the DualSense Edge, announced at Gamescom. It was announced at Gamescom. Opening night live. The features and design of the DualSense Edge clearly offer PlayStation players something similar to Xbox's Elite controller lineup, particularly the Xbox Elite Wireless Series 2. Pricing, release date, dimensions and weight have yet to be revealed as of publication. However, PlayStation shared plenty of information on what the controller will feature, giving us a better idea of capabilities. To better understand the DualSense Edge, let's take a look at the specs so far. Dig into its standout features and see how it compares to the Xbox Series 2, Xbox Elite Series 2, in addition to the base. They've got a bit of a graph here as well, which it's got a comparison of 4 controllers. It's the basic Xbox wireless controller, the basic DualSense, and then the Elite 2 and the DualSense Edge. Price to be confirmed, release date to be confirmed, custom profiles. The Elite 2 is $179.99. Battery is internal. Actually, I didn't know the Elite 2 was an internal battery. I thought it was replaceable like the standard one. It's not, though, is it? Connectivity is wireless and USB-C on the DualSense Edge. Bluetooth likely, it says. Whereas it's wireless, USB-C, wireless charging and Bluetooth. Wireless charging? How does that work? Back button yes on both. Yes times 2 on the DualSense one. Yes times 4 on the Xbox One. Triggers, adjustable and adaptive triggers on the PlayStation 1. 3-step trigger lock on the Xbox One. Interchangeable parts, yes. Custom button mapping, yes on both. Weight to be confirmed on the DualSense, and 345 grams on there. So one thing I'm not going to read through this whole article, but one thing I did notice when I read through it was they were saying that unlike on the Xbox Elite Series 2, you can't replace the whole stick. You can only replace the thumb part of the stick. Whereas on the DualSense, you can apparently change the whole stick. So that was quite a big thing, quite a big deal we were talking about. I guess maybe that gives you the option of putting different height sticks on, maybe, stuff like that. So that was the one big thing that jumped out at me from it. But until we've got new specs until we've got all the specs and comparisons, I suppose I'm not sure that I would ever pay out for that sort of stuff. I don't need to be doing half the stuff this stuff does. I really like the core controllers anyway. Well, I love the core controllers of both sides for different reasons, and there's things I would change a little bit about both sides to make it a perfect controller for me. Height of the thumbsticks would be one thing I would change on the Xbox, and also the type of plastic they use. it's quite noisy when you're moving the sticks around. There's a sort of big clunking noise when you're going up and down with them. It's all very less clunky, and clunky is a harsh word. I can't think of another way to describe it. But if you compare it to moving the sticks of a PlayStation 1 DualSense around, it was same on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. There's just a less of a noise when you push the stick, when the stick bumps against the sides, basically, is what I'm getting at. Also, the buttons are noisier than the DualSense ones as well. These are all tiny things, and to be fair, the noise factors don't bother me as I'm playing, but there's something, for example, that I picked up when I'm recording for you guys. You can probably hear me thumping the buttons a bit on the Xbox one, but you probably don't hear me doing it half as much on the DualSense one because it's just much quieter. On the other hand, the DualSense one, don't know why they designed it the way they did, because with someone that's got slightly long fingers like I do, when you wrap your hand around the controller, the way they've done it, there's a horrible groove on the inside of the where your handles are, and it just irritates the shit out of my fingertips. Whereas the Xbox one's just smooth plastic all the way around. There is no groove. It's just, there is no groove, and little things like that. But to be fair, the Xbox one, the big thing I would change is just the height of the sticks. Just take the height of the sticks down a bit for me. Because when you're playing third person, it's great. It's not so bad on first person stuff, but on third person stuff, man, my God, if you play something like Dark Souls or something on there, everything's just super sensitive. Trying to move especially when it's death by environment. It's much easier to control stuff on the PlayStation with the shorter sticks. So it's just super sensitive with the sticks that long. That's all it is. So yeah, but anyway, I thought it was an interesting article just to bring up, but not things I would buy in the end. Well, there you are. It's probably as much as we have, people, for the links I was picking up on. I realise that there's a gazillion things probably been happening at Gamescom. I haven't been paying a huge amount of attention. All I've been doing is just having a little look at what IGN have been posting up on a daily basis. I can take these off now, can't I? Just to see what's been happening and what have you. And if I've spotted something of interest, then I've jotted it down on my little notes in case I was going to chat to you guys and that sort of thing. Well, there you are, people. That's all I've got for you. Let me know in the comments below about any of the things I've been talking about. You can tell my arm's getting a little bit tired. I can do with a selfie stick probably, can't I? I keep saying this, I need to find a good way of recording in this room, because I love sitting here, looking out into the garden and recording here. It's just a happy, nice place to do it. As much as though I love doing the podcasty bits upstairs, it is a bit darker and sort of a bit more enclosed and proper sort of podcast environment. So it is nice to be able to do stuff like this, but I'd like to be able to do it with the nicer microphone and what have you. So there you are. You're still getting me in 1080p, people. Well, there you are. That's all I have for you, people. Let me know in the comments below anything I've been talking about. Talk to me, people. You know I love hearing from you. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this little vlog of mine. And I shall catch you all in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.